What's up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of the Modern Day Sniper podcast. I am your host, Kalen Wojcik, and on this episode, we're bringing a guest by the name of Mr. Tony Blauer. Mr. Tony Blauer has been in the combatives and self-defense space for the last 40 years, and he owns a company called Blauer Tactical Training Systems, and Tony has dedicated his life to obviously talking about combatives and self-defense, but he's also really involved in studying the aspects of fear. And there's a lot of parallels that exist between fear and precision shooting. And the fact of the matter is that fear exists in everything that we do, every day that we exist, and as we navigate ourselves through this world. So this episode was a tremendous amount of fun to film and talk with Tony about because there are so many parallels. And you can expect to see more episodes with Tony and possibly some collaborative training classes coming up in the future that are going to blend what Tony is teaching as well as what we're teaching at Modern Day Sniper. So the episode is packed with a lot of good information, and really it's just a lot of self-awareness on your part. If you just kind of sit back and reflect and think about how you navigate the world and situations that you're faced with every day. So Mr. Blauer has a lot of programs on his website, and you can check all that stuff out in the description below. He's known for his No Fear and his Spear system, and he's got a lot of programs out there that are like 90-day challenges and things like that. Something else to note, he's also got a experience coming in Vegas where it's going to blend No Fear and the Spear system, and basically like a human weapon system, and that's happening in Vegas in July. I believe it's on the 27th, the weekend of the 27th. So if you're interested in that, check it out. So without further ado, guys, let's get into the show, and I hope you guys enjoy it. Make sure you leave us a comment, tell all your friends about it. Let's get to it. I'm super excited for this, Tony. I've been doing a lot of research on you, and learning about what your background is and what you've been doing with your life for the past 40 years. It's pretty impressive, man. And the topic of fear is always an interesting one, because I don't think a lot of people want to talk about it, because it's almost like it's an embarrassment, right?
Yep.
There's like this status quo out there that's like, I don't want to talk about fear because, especially from a male perspective, you shouldn't feel fear, right? So I'm really excited to have this conversation with you and to learn more about what it is that drove you to focus on this niche within, the world, and how you've been able to make your mark as a guy who talks about fear.
Yeah, I mean, great observation. I think I just want to add something in the, you mentioned like 40 years. I don't want people to think I'm 40 years old. It's been 40 years that I've been teaching personal safety, self-defense, and that's really the the kind of like launch point or origin element to why fear became such a fascination of mine. Because when I started teaching self-defense back in the 70s, 1977 was my first student, 1980 was my first professional student, so that's how long I've been at this game. I was teaching what everyone teaches, the physical side of martial arts and self-defense. So, you get in a headlock, here's how you get out. Someone has a gun, here's a gun disarm. Someone throws a kick, here's a block. And I was teaching this kid and preparing him for a bully situation in school, and he got his ass kicked. And as his instructor, I was like mortified, right? I was 20 years old. It was 1980. He was 15, so I could relate. I was old enough to be like a man in business, but not so far away from 15 and thinking about bullies in school and pressure and all that. And I was mortified, Kalen, like shit. I trained this kid, and he got dropped, like left sucker punch at school. And when I asked him to reenact what happened, and he said, the kid, he was running through the halls, And the kid was at the back of the school leaning against some locker banks. And when this kid, Mitch, ran by, he tripped him and Mitch went flying. And all the other kids started laughing. And Mitch is picking up his school books. And he grabs all his books and they're laughing. And he turns to this guy and he goes, "What's your problem?" And the bullying had only been verbal abuse. It was the first time it got physical. And I've been training this kid for almost 3 months now privately because the school wasn't doing anything about it. And his dad knew my dad and he knew I trained. He said, "Hey, can Tony teach Mitch?" So I was teaching him how to spar. Like when you learn how to kick, how to block, how to punch, we were sparring. And so when he got tripped and he picked up all his books, he screamed. He was so embarrassed. He yells at the bully. He goes, "Can I swear on your show or should I keep it?"
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. So he goes, "What the fuck's your problem, man? You've been bugging me for 3 months. So fucking leave me alone. Don't touch me." And the guy walks up to him and goes, "What are you going to do about it?" And he shoves him. And Mitch grabbed him in a moment of rage and shoved him against the locker bank. And he's telling me the story. And I go, "And?" He goes, "He dropped me with a left hook right there." I go, "Well, dude, why didn't you slip or parry or check it or do any of the stuff that I taught you?" And he looks at me, this 15-year-old kid, Gil, and he goes like this. He looks up and to the right to revisualize the scenario. He says, "Well, when I shoved him in the locker bank, I was holding his shirt with one hand and I had my school books in my other hand." And I was like, "Oh my God, how can you block or strike if you're holding a shirt and holding books in your hand?" Mm-hmm. And in that moment, I was 20 years old, I described it as the god of self-defense hit me with this lightning bolt. And I was like, we teach self-defense wrong. We don't teach people how to regulate themselves, how to control their breathing, how to control their mind. We don't teach people how to de-escalate. And we don't teach people how to manage violence in real world scenarios where you're a woman in high heels with a purse. You're a mom with a stroller pushing her baby. You're a kid in high school who's grabbed onto somebody and you're holding your books or your knapsack or whatever. We don't think, or in my law enforcement, we teach a lot of cops and everything's done on the mat room. Nobody's teaching you, "Hey, I got a flashlight in my hand. I'm looking at your driver's license and now you grab my gun or take a swing at me." Well, at a neurological level, the neurobiology of the startle response says that if I flinch while I'm holding something, my body at a non-conscious level will clamp down and hold that tighter. So if you're holding a flashlight and driver's license and someone goes whap and goes to hit you, your body is going to flinch, but you're going to clamp down. You're not going to do wax on, wax off. Hopefully everyone listening to this knows the Karate Kid reference. Yeah. So when Mitchell grabbed this kid and he started to throw the punch, even if he had seen it, and it was really too close to do much about it, even if he had seen it, the neurobiology of the startle response would have prevented him from accessing his complex motor skills. And so here's an important one, and I'm going to segue really quickly into the fear. When our situational awareness is hijacked, our body's survival system kicks in. Our body's survival system, if it could speak, would go, "Hey, you had no situational awareness, you fucked up. I'm going to cover your head and push away danger." So it's for those of you watching, not listening, your hands come up, you go into this primal flinch, and if there's time and space, you push away danger. And you can see my fingers are splayed, my arms are outside 90. Those are the two main cues in our spear system. But if I were holding on to a drink and a donut, we use these wonderful pictures in our courses from different sporting events where things go flying into the stands, and everybody whose hands are free, their hands are covering their head, and everybody holding pizza, popcorn, beer, their hands are down.
Interesting.
It's an amazing, just to show the cross-extension reflex on what it does. So in that moment, literally, like I just talked for 10 minutes, but this was like a 3-second realization. And I had Mitchell immediately grab his books and grab me, and we replicated everything. I didn't know anything about startle flinch, but I was 20 years old. I didn't know anything about neurobiology. It was just all intuition. And I realized that in order to navigate that very close quarter interpersonal violence, we needed to understand self-talk and breathing and the things that nobody talks about in self-defense. And that led me to developing a whole system of de-escalation. And then I started doing scenarios immediately. I realized that it wasn't enough to stand there 5 feet apart and punch and block. And that was just sparring. That wasn't like I'm getting out of my car and now there's a guy right beside me in my blind spot. And I'm like, right? And something, open the door and there's somebody standing there and shoot, hey, what can I help you? And shit kicks off. At an emotional, psychological level, the area that people practice in self-defense, the physical level, is actually the third phase of a violent encounter. Every victim of violence who lived to tell the tale said they had a bad feeling before the attack. That means energetically, we go, there's something wrong here. There's something wrong with this person. There's something wrong with the scenario. So there's an energetic thing that nobody talks about. And then how do you act on that? And then as soon as you get that bad feeling, self-talk starts. Should I check this out? Should I not? Am I being paranoid? What should I do? And then the accuracy and intentionality of what you do there is going to be obviously proportional to, can you listen to intuition and check it out? And what was your training? Were you trained effectively? But all of that led me to realize that most of us, and you hit the nail on the head, most of us, particularly men, don't want to admit, acknowledge, or look at fear, assuming that it's a weakness, not realizing that if you had a system to unpack fear, you would get stronger and more resilient. That fear can be a fuel to inspire more. If I move outside my comfort zone, I'm in my discomfort zone. But what if I could look at what I coined this lovingly, the holy shit zone. What if I could look at things in life where I go, holy shit, I'm glad that didn't happen to me, or I would never do that. And then looked at that and said, okay, is that a skill set I should understand? I don't need to fall in love with it. I don't need to be a master of it, but I should understand it so that if I'm faced with that dilemma, I can be the courageous bystander, or I can make stuff happen. And one of the things, while I'm on this tear of a tangent, that we talk about in our No Fear protocol, and again, for those of you who are listening, we spell No Fear. That's the name of one of the verticals of my company, the No Fear program. We spell it KNOW, not NO fear. Our hypothesis is there's no such thing as no fear. People can pound their chest and say, I have no fear, but most normal people will have fear. They might use different words to describe it, but the idea of changing my relationship with fear, i.e. getting to know fear, means I can use it as fuel. I can use it when I get that metaphoric radar blip and I'm looking inside and I go, why is my physiology changing when I got to talk to this person, or when I got to, ask somebody out, or fire somebody, or decide to quit a job and become an entrepreneur, or protect myself or my family? Why do I have fear? It's an amazing resource if you have a system. So, you probably have 100 questions based on all that, but it was a really organic. It wasn't like I was sitting here one day and went, the world needs a fear management expert. And right. That's going to be me. I, as a kid, was afraid of competing in every single sport. I was a really good athlete all around, but I never podiumed. I grew up on skis. I grew up in Canada. I was skiing. I think I started when I was 3 years old. Both my parents were on the National Ski Patrol. And, I can remember events where my coach says, hey, you're ready for this course, man, like this is a big race. And I'm like, yeah, I got this. And I'm scared shitless. I want to projectile vomit. And I'm lying to my coach, just like you said in the beginning. I didn't want to say, hey coach, I'm freaking out. And the thought there was, I kept on thinking, if I'm so good, like people say I am, why am I so scared? Let me say that again for everyone listening. If I'm so good, why am I so scared? Because I never had a coach or a mentor or a parent say, let's talk about fear. And most people who have figured out a ritual to deal with fear never talk about it out loud. And only in the last couple of years are, of course, I'm in the combative self-defense world, and so I'm connected to the MMA world. A lot of people don't know Mike Tyson used to cry and throw up before his fights. George St. Pierre, one of the greatest MMA fighters ever, um, in the last year or two, came out saying that the scariest day of his life was every day he had to, it was fight day, the day he had to fight, that he hated it. He loved the training, but he hated the fighting. Uh, John Jones, who's considered the greatest MMA fighter in the world, just recently, a video came out, said, I have so much anxiety. And then I use these breathing techniques and these visual. But when you watch these people walk around as our heroes or our role models or inspiration, like it doesn't occur to us to go, man, like these guys, they're so fearless, but they're not. They've just figured out or been trained how to manage fear, and that's really the goal of the No Fear program.
Man, this stuff is super intriguing to me. And the reason that it's intriguing to me is I've willingly throughout my life put myself into positions where I've had to manage extreme fear. Um, I'm from as a combat veteran, and then even all of the things training up to that point or leading up to that point, you're terrified. It's absolutely terrifying. And so the ability to move through that and accept the fact that, yes, we are going to be afraid. Everyone is going to be afraid. You're always going to be afraid because that's what's going to tell you that you're still alive. And
Correct.
this might sound very superficial because this is something that you study. But we didn't really understand. We didn't have any training about how to manage fear. It was just like, hey, dude, put your ruck on and go.
Right.
Like this is it. Um, and then from the standpoint of all of the other things that lead up to that, like you were talking about, like just self-anxiety, performance anxiety, that's fear. It's
Yep.
fear in and of itself. And it's really no different. When I learned how to skydive, it's that plane door opens up and you're looking out at 13,500 feet above the ground for the first time ever. And you're just going, holy shit.
Right.
I'm terrified. I'm really, really afraid. But relying on your training, relying on your procedures, your protocols, relying on the system that you've been trained to do allows you to overcome that and trust that process. But the neurobiological aspect of it, which is something that I'm learning more of in the shooting community, as to how my body works and how my brain interacts with my rifle, how my brain interacts with my body, how my brain processes the visual stimulus that I'm seeing. I love the fact that you brought up the startle response, the grip response, because I really want to talk to you about that some more. And I want to kind of, so our audience, obviously modern day sniper, we're training shooters and we're training precision riflemen. On the civilian side, we have modern day riflemen. And then on the military law enforcement / professional side, we have modern day sniper. All of those, both of those two brands, they both focus on marksmanship. And the marksmanship in and of itself is, there's no delineation between professional and civilian. There's none whatsoever. The skills remain the same. We still have to be able to aim the rifle. We still have to be able to process the visual stimulus that's coming in so that way we can aim the rifle effectively and then be in the present current moment to press the trigger to make the rifle fire without moving it. So the anxiety, though, it's so bizarre because something so simple as firing a rifle or shooting a handgun, there is a neurobiological response to that. And that biological response or neurobiological response is fear. And it's saying, I'm about to have this explosion happen 6 inches, or if you're shooting a rifle, it's right in front of your face. If you're shooting a handgun, it's out at arm's length. Your body doesn't, your brain and your physiology does not want that to happen. And so we have to work to overcome that. And most of the time, from a long time ago, it was just as simple as saying, hey, stop flinching. You're
Right.
flinching.
Right.
Well, it's like, well, now that we understand more about this stuff from a neurobiological standpoint, it's not, you just can't stop flinching. And I would argue to say that no matter how much training that you have, you're not going to train it out. It's a mind thing. It's a mental thing. And that's really what I would love to hear your thoughts on, to try to connect some of these principles that you've learned through your studies, and how the shooting community can learn how to potentially overcome things. Because, being afraid to miss, I've been there before, where I'm just terrified. If I press this trigger, I can't miss. Maybe it's because I'm shooting a stage in a rifle match and in a competition, and I have 15 people watching literally every little micro movement that I do, and they're analyzing it and taking it apart, judging it, looking at it, seeing what they're going to take from it, what they're not going to take from it. All of that stuff is going through your brain, and everybody deals with it to a certain degree. And then to be able to stay in that present moment to execute a perfect shot with control, that's the name of the game. That's what we're there to try to do, and repeat that process over and over and over again. So, man, I'd really love to hear or if you have in the past, have you worked with shooters in the past specifically to address these things from the standpoint that you're delivering it right now?
So I got a bunch of thoughts running through my head, and so many neat little stories and anecdotes that I want to share, from the skydiving to the shooting to the when you understand the starter response, you can also influence recoil management,
Dude,
right? So
yes.
and particularly the when we broke down and started to develop the system. So first of all, the SPEAR system, which is our combat program or combatives program. SPEAR is an acronym for Spontaneous Protection Enabling Accelerated Response. It's this idea of understanding the neurobiology of sudden violence, anticipated or real. And so, anticipating recoil is the violence of the tactile sensation of the gun to the sound of the round going off. So there's all these little factors. The more detailed you can get in, and this is the big thing with our No Fear program, is it's like, hey, I've got a no fear sniper program, a no fear Derringer program, a no fear Tomahawk. No, it's no fear. It's what we do, which is what I love about this is we teach people how to manage fear by understanding the difference between the psychology of fear and the physiology or biology of it. Most programs talk about amygdala hijack, limbic system, fight, flight, freeze, tonic immobility, all these like names, but they're not talking about the movie in our mind and being able to stop yourself, almost like a tactical meditation, going, why am I thinking this? Right? So the goal of No Fear and its program is to improve your self-awareness. Hey, Kalen, how did you miss that shot? I don't know, man. I've made that shot a zillion times in practice. Well, was it the 15 people watching you? Was it the just as you were getting ready to press the trigger, you noticed a butterfly landing on a and you looked out to the side for a second, or you were like, am I breathing in or out right now? I lost focus on my breathing. Like whatever it was that distracted you from the pre-shot ritual, only self-awareness can help you course correct, right? When you do your own internal AAR. So my favorite part about the No Fear program, I tell people this, but it's weird. I had a meeting yesterday and I said, people come to me because they want to learn how to protect themselves and their family. And they want no rituals, no uniforms, no nonsense. They want friggin' just like straight, like give me the facts. So I go, hey, we're gonna take organic resources, neurobiology, kinesiology, and psychology. Doesn't matter what your gender is, doesn't matter what your background is. I will make you safer. And then I tell them the most important work you can do, the most important program is our No Fear program, because it's transformative, it's transcendent, it helps you self-actualize. And suddenly there are people like, hey man, you're starting to sound like a guru. And I'm like, and people don't want that, especially if they're their impression or connection to me is something tactical.
Sure.
And I tell people like how important is situation. Like, let's go to real violence for a moment, not competition and what have you. How important is situational awareness to manage violence?
And it's
It's
the
everything.
most important thing.
Right. Like, we have a maxim: no awareness, no chance. Like, if I didn't know I was about to be attacked, how could I protect myself? If I
Mhm.
don't know what my vulnerabilities are, my home or my car or this transitional space, how can I even prepare to? So situational awareness is everything. Get this. I share this in every podcast. Every single victim of violence who lived to tell the tale said they had a bad feeling before the attack. Every single one of them. In every book, in every police report, every person I've interviewed over the last 30, 40 years, someone will say, come to think about it, I did have a bad feeling. They'll say it in their own words, but this is true. So my hypothesis is the people that didn't survive the attack also had that bad feeling. We don't have a seance, so we can't say, did you have a bad feeling? Right? So the first pre-contact indicator is energetic, something in your gut saying something's wrong. That's self-awareness. That's self-awareness right there. Something is wrong. And so in that moment, it's the self-awareness piece that says, I need to choose safety. What are my immediate action protocols right now? Even if I don't even know what immediate action drills are and never thought about what should I do? That's internal self-talk. That self-awareness piece, and I tell people this, and some people don't connect it. They go, situational awareness is everything. Head on a swivel, left to bang. I go, good. But if your self-awareness is murky, what you saw isn't going to go into your brain, through your optic nerve, through your senses, auditory. I heard something that was weird. I make a joke that, like, if you're out in the woods and you hear a rattlesnake, your brain doesn't go, I wonder if that's a small tambourine band. Like, your intuition goes like, whoa, that was a snake. And then your body, even if you've never caught snakes or done stuff, your body starts to try to figure out shit. Should I move? Should I run? Should I yell? Should I? My point being is there's things that happen faster than cognition, and we could learn from that. So my connection is this: I had this epiphany years ago that self-awareness took the situational awareness and deployed it into the brain where it said, okay, play dead now, charge the threat now, hide, blend in, say this. And it was all an internal dialogue, right? And we get that all the time. And if we go back to the people you coach in competition, you get there and you're all good. You got your new rig set up, and you got your new scope on and all that. And you're like, man, I'm going to win today. And then somebody pulls up, and this guy's like a way better shooter than you. You thought he was retired, right? And so I don't know who that would be in your industry. You're like going, man, I'm going to win today. And then this guy who used to buy his books and videos, he shows up and goes, yeah. And you're going, oh shit, well, I guess I'm going to come in second. And then someone else drives up, and this guy's a legend. You're going, oh shit, you haven't even started shooting yet, and you went from first to second to third in a movie in your mind.
Mm-hmm.
So I tell people that psychology fear. Now, you don't know you're doing that. Most people don't know they're doing that. And I'll give you an example. Everyone listening to this, somebody close to you, a friend, family member, because body language is 60% of communication when something's bothering them. How many times in your life have you gone up to somebody you care about and said, are you okay? And they look you straight in the eye and go, yeah, why? Because they don't want to talk about it, or they're not even aware yet. And then one day, 2 days, a week later, it comes out and you go, fuck, like I saw this a week ago and they didn't even know. This is all self-awareness. And so your ability to be self-aware means that you got this flowing information system between situational awareness and self-awareness that improves critical thinking, and critical thinking sets us up for research. I need more training. I need to have this conversation. I need to fight now, right? As opposed to hiding. And one of my favorite quotes, Richard Feynman, who that is, as a famous, I think, physicist, mathematician. He said, my favorite quote. He says, "The first principle is to never fool yourself, and remember, you're the easiest person to fool."
Hmm.
And it's a heavy line because it's talking about how we rationalize things. Why didn't we do well, or why aren't we doing this? But anyways,
Richard who?
Feynman, Feynman, Feynman. Yeah, he's brilliant and tons of amazing quotes. But I'm off on 20 different rabbit holes here. But the biggest thing is this: if we can improve our self awareness, we can improve our critical thinking. If we improve our critical thinking, we improve our options, whether it's a shooting competition, business, life, politics, health, finances, entrepreneurship. The fastest way, and this was the serendipity of my journey. I got jumped when I was 12, went home, told my dad I got attacked by two guys. He said, "You better," it was 1972. There were no martial arts schools around. Suddenly he said, "You got to learn to defend yourself." I was scared to go to high school. And a Taekwondo school opened up near me, and I would go there. Like, I just fell in love. I thought that was going to save my life, like just change, because I was so afraid. So I started when I was 13, but I was terrified to spar, terrified in competitions. The same fear I had as a skier, plagued me there. I was really good. I was a fanatic. Like, this was going to save me. But I was like, why am I so scared? Well, and then I get into, 16, 17, 18, get into little fights and, get your driver's license. And now you're getting in a fight, terrified. Winning, doing stuff, but like blind with rage, not like, what just happened there? And then when I started teaching, like this, very quickly, I said, the people who manage their fear manage to fight. We need to be morally, ethically, legally sound in our decision making. It was as I was maturing, it all came together. But the biggest thing is the self-awareness piece and what we teach. Now, you asked me a specific question. Have you worked with shooters? My clients, my number one clients, are military and law enforcement.
Mm-hmm.
So some of them are competitive shooters, but most of them need to be shooters in the game of life.
Sure.
Right? And so we've got gunfighting courses that we've designed, and the protocols around this, whether it's from a CQB environment to like an entanglement where you're contact shooting and stuff, it's all about managing fear. And the elements of fine and complex and gross motor of getting your weapon out and not putting it out of battery when you slam it into somebody, and there's so much more going on than being on the range. Range is hot, shooter's ready, and doing that. But I remember teaching a group in Europe, and then getting a call from the guy and said, "Hey, they'd been deployed to train another country, and these guys had no formal training, and our startle, flinch, push away danger, understanding the cross extensor chain and understanding flexor versus extensor, understanding how do the kinetic chain of going into a tactical position from a primal position." He said, "I'm using all that to teach these guys how to shoot and how to control the front of their gun, that recoil management, by teaching them to understand the neuroscience of the startle response, because your startle response deploys in anticipation of impact.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Therefore, logically, it would deploy in anticipation of the sound of boom, right?
Yep.
And your ability to stress, you said something interesting, that the flinch will always be there. You can't wean the flinch. And in my experience, that's in one phase of training, that's 100% accurate. But then if like, for example, I've never heard a mortar go off, but I know lots of guys who've described this. You get to the point where you can hear the pin change, and you can hear the sound. And so now it's like, I remember doing a course where it was the first time I got pulled into the tactical community, and we were doing a course at Alan Brosnan's Tees Academy Explosive Entry School, and I was doing the hand-to-hand, and Phil Singleton original, SAS, British SAS, Queensgate Embassy legend, like all this shit. And I'm there. They brought me in. I'm like, holy shit! There's Ron Avery and Phil Singleton and Alan Brosnan, and I was like the new kid on the block, and I was doing the CQB in the house. And I had never been in a live fire range, and I never knew from Canada fire in the hole. So I'm walking to where we're going to do our empty hand stuff with our MP5 days, right? That's how old I am, people. MP5, right? And so I think they're making a comeback. And so so all of a sudden someone goes, fire in the hole, and I'm like, I'm turning, looking, and I'm seeing a bunch of guys walking because we don't have like headphones on. And all of a sudden this door blast goes off, and I'm like, boom, fuck, holy shit. But I was the only one that flinched, Kalen, because my body hadn't stress inoculated to it.
Sure.
So the idea where, so when you say you can't wean the flinch, ultimately what happens if you're training effectively and accurately, scientifically, you can self-regulate the desire to flinch by going, we've done this 100 times, we know exactly what's going to happen. I bet if I watch you with a high-powered camera and film it, that when you shoot, you don't flinch. The only way you would flinch is if I changed some of your setup ritual, or I changed the speed of the target acquisition. I went, no, over there. And you went, oh shit! Like, and I changed something in the ritual of the sniper, of that sniper setup. So in the beginning, you can't wean the flinch. So what I've done and discovered is, and this is key. A lot of times we're too broad and general when we talk about fear. So, and I'm a storyteller in case you haven't figured that out. I was teaching a gun disarm, a weapon protection course. And we were doing like gun disarms, gun in your neck, gun behind your head, gun over here. You're getting, and we would say bad guys only want one of three things: property, body, or life. We would do scenarios specific to that. I'm teaching everyone's doing well. And then we went from the biomechanics of the counter, clear control counter, our whole protocols. And then we said, now let's start blending emotion and scenario. And so I started doing a block on role playing. And then everyone's role playing, and everyone had done well up to the point. And then this one guy, when the gun would come out, and it was like gangbanger in your face, someone grabbing you, give me your fucking watch, give me your wallet. And we're doing that, and people had to feign the response. This one guy, his feigned response was like overboard acting, like dramatic. And I pull him, I stop him, and I go, hey man, we don't have to do an off-Broadway play. I want you to get to the disarm, but you're milking this phase too long. Appear cooperative, feign the fear. There will be real fear. That's good, but you're like taking it to the next level. And you're not doing the move that you practiced before. I need you to get there, right? He's like, okay, Coach Blauer. Next rep, he's like this. And he's like, I go, okay, you got to do the counter. When your feigning fear is showing that you're going to be a cooperative victim, that means the attacker kind of shifts their focus from you to the property. But he doesn't do the move. So I go, hey, I need you to do the move. And he goes like this. His eyes water up. He takes a deep breath, and he just blurts out, I was robbed at gunpoint several years ago on a trip, and the guy stuck the gun in my mouth, shoved it in my mouth, chipped the tooth. I feel the gun in the back of my head. I thought I was fucking dead. And I didn't realize till now how much PTSD I had from that. Mm-hmm. And even though I know this is a plastic gun in front of me, when I saw that come up, I'm tripping out, man. I need to sit down. Now, why am I telling you and your audience this story? Until I knew that, I couldn't help him. Mm-hmm. I couldn't say, like you said, like when you were doing, initial military training, guys, we're going to jump over an airplane, static line jump. Okay, we're doing rappelling now, and you're going, fuck, I'm afraid of heights. Go, go, go. What if I fall? Well, you fall. Don't be a pussy. Let's go. Okay, trust the training. Trust this line, right? And you would go, but nobody was teaching us how to manage fear in advance.
No.
Right? And so when this guy told me his story, I was able to then mentor him. I was able to, and so that's what it is. Is one of the big things, especially when we're coaching coaches in our program, is um, like a teacher imparts information, a coach inspires performance. And if you call yourself a coach, you can't say, look, you just need to practice more. Like if I could have said to the guy, look, you just need to practice more. But no, he had a fear block, like a metaphoric stovepipe in his mind.
Mm-hmm.
And if I don't know that, I can't help him clear the metaphoric stovepipe. That means that even though he's in the class and he wants to learn, even though he understands the biomechanics, in other words, he had a malfunction that made the whole system inoperable. Even though he was ready to go, he didn't notice he had a jam. Or he knows he's had a jam, but he doesn't know how to. And if you remember, I don't know if you remember this, I sure do. When I first started to learn how to shoot, and I had no idea how to clear a double feed or what to do with a stovepipe. I'd take the gun and I'd be like, bang, 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 and I'd go click and I'd see, oh, fuck. And then I'd go trying not to flag anybody. I'm nervous on the range. Your physiology changed. Excuse me, sir. Yeah. What do I do with this? And the metaphor there is that you're practicing gunfighting, but all of a sudden something happened, you didn't know what to do with it, and you had to stop, and now you're in the fear loop.
Okay.
And that happens to us in life, right? And so that's why I say the metaphoric stovepipe. You got to clear the fear.
So the flinching aspect,
Yes.
love to go back with that. And so maybe not necessarily retract the statement, but say the fact that if I do flinch, it's because I lost awareness of where I was in my process, mentally focused.
Provided you've had intelligent training leading to
For
that.
sure. Yes.
So here's a fun one. I ask people. Our classes are very Socratic. I want the students to. I explain it like this. There's a ton of SMEs, right? Subject matter experts.
Mm-hmm.
But experts are people who memorize other people's material. It's a phase of learning. I want everyone. So in our system, we say everyone will be an SME upon completion of this course. And they go, yeah, duh. I go, no. You're going to understand that substance matters.
Sure.
Substance matter experts. Why are we doing this? How did we get to here? Why is it relevant? So you're not just regurgitating or going, I don't know where this came from, but in order for you to pass this class, you got to do this and this and this.
What's up, guys? I wanted to take a few minutes to talk to you guys about Really Right Stuff tripods. My personal opinion, Really Right Stuff tripods are the best tripod that you can use to shoot from, observe from, and use as a general purpose tripod for everything that you need in the world of precision shooting or long range hunting. So a couple of tripods that I really like using. I have the TVC 22. And this tripod is what I use primarily for competitive shooting because it only has one leg and one leg lock, and it makes this really easy to use, especially for situations where you need to use the tripod for tripod rear support. The tripod that is the workhorse of my loadout is the TFC T34L. This is what I use for the vast majority of all of my shooting and observing needs. This is the long version because I want to make sure that I have the most length and the most capability for all the situations that I could find myself in the mountains. They're all made in the USA and Really Right Stuff's Lehi, Utah factory. And the other really awesome thing about this is that our United States military has adopted these tripods for all of special operations sniper units, as well as international sniper units. So you just can't go wrong with a Really Right Stuff tripod. That's all I choose to shoot from and observe from. And I hope you guys will take a look at them and add them to your arsenal.
And so that's very subtle and very heavy. So going back to your point there is, I will ask people, is this semantics or is there a difference?
Okay.
A person chokes or a person freezes. We're talking about like an athletic event. Guy strikes out at bat. Did he choke or did he freeze? Or does it matter? What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I guess I'd have to know what his mental state was, while he was there.
He struck out in both cases. And now I went, man, that guy fucking choked. And then you go, man, he froze. He didn't even fucking take a swing.
I see what
Is
you're
it just
saying.
semantics there?
No, I don't think that's semantics. I think that there's a reason behind that.
Okay. I agree. And what I'm leading at for the audience here is the label is important here if you're truly coaching. In both cases, a trained person who strikes out, you can strike out because the pitcher was on fire and you were on fire, but his heat was like, right? Right.
Yeah.
So you can be really good and the bad guy's really good and you both go, wow, and you're here and you're like, fuck. And it might be like he's shooting a staccato and you're shooting a friggin' like, you know what I mean? It's like the operating system just beat you there. You're both. I always say like a good big guy will beat a small guy. If skill is equal and tenacity is equal, size matters, right? You're a good driver and you're driving a Prius, and I'm a good driver and I'm in a Hummer and we're doing demolition derby. It doesn't matter how good a driver you are. Size matters.
Sure.
So I might be really fast with my Derringer and you're really fast with your Desert Eagle, and we both get out there and we both hit each other, and you shot me with a Derringer, right? And it didn't go through my eye, right? And I hit you. So at a certain level, we just look at the math. But I'm getting into this. The difference between choking and freezing is this. The untrained person freezes. The trained person chokes.
Okay.
Semantically, both can go, man, I just froze. Like there's a lot of stories of military personnel or cops that froze, where we go, and the guy can't get his gun out while somebody's stabbing him or shooting at him or whatever. Where I would argue that person choked. Why? Because they were trained and they couldn't access their skill. And people can say, well, that's semantics. And I go, look, if you don't know what to do, it's normal to go, I don't know what to do. And you're freezing.
That's
if
fair.
You know what to do. You've let the pressure get to you. And now we go, that now, when we backtrack and reverse engineer, that was a failure to train the emotional psychological system. The first place that you're hit, if every victim of violence who lived to tell the tale said they had a bad feeling, the first place you're hit is your emotional system. The next place you're hit is your psychological system. And then the third place you're hit is in the face when the person sucker punched you. And then after, when you woke up and you're trying to do a police report and you got ice pack, you go, well, I knew something was wrong when the guy said this. And then all of a sudden he hit me, right? And so what happens is when we have a bad feeling, the brain starts to start a movie in our mind. You go, man, I don't feel right in this next shot. And then your eyes in your back of your head going, man, I wish these 15 people weren't fucking staring at me right now. And then you're going, take the shot. You got a timer going. You can't sit here all day. Let's go. I don't know if that's true.
No, it is true.
And now you rush it, even though it doesn't look like you're rushing, because you didn't clear your fear. So that comes back to the self-awareness piece.
Sure. Okay,
I got to go back and I got to recalibrate my breath. Like you would never, I've never had the chance to train with you yet. And I'm looking forward to that one day. But at some point in the training, you're going to say how you breathe is going to affect everything you do. We can have you all dialed in here and get all this together. But if your breathing is fucked up, right? And so I wrote in 1993, I wrote an article called The Theory of Presumed Compliance. And the first big paragraph goes, how you think affects how you feel. How you feel affects how you think. Both influence how and when you move.
Okay.
Explaining the power of the emotional psychological. Since that time, like decades later now, I've included how you think affects how you feel and affects how you breathe, and how you feel affects how you think and affects how you breathe. And all of that affects how and when you'll move. That breathing is like being here, recognizing that you're vertically breathing, that you're now in a real sympathetic state. And here's the truth of the matter is, when the gurus say, oh, you got to be calm, you got to diaphragmatic breathe. When someone's trying to kill you, or you're in a fight, you're not breathing calmly, right? And your expertise, I always make a joke, the only person that can be calm and cool in a gunfight is a sniper, because they're usually very far away from the person that they got to shoot. So you can you can have that pre-fight ritual. Not the same as the guy who's on point kicking down a door going, man, I hope he's not right here. So
that process just happens faster with
yeah,
that guy, right? It just that I truly believe that the process of shooting is the same regard, because I've done CQB, I've done the pistol, the carbine stuff, the shotgun stuff. And it's all the same. It's all the same process, right? As we go into actually physically actuating the firearm, whatever it is, because if it's got a trigger, it's actuated the exact same way.
right.
The loss of awareness of what you're doing in all of those steps. So as an example, like for me in my shot process, usually my first cognitive thought is, am I shooting at the right target? Right. So I've already built my position. I'm allowing my neural pathways and my, all of my training and my unconscious competence to build a solid position. And then when I'm looking through the optic, I'm identifying how big my wobble zone is. And then that is automatically going into my body and saying, hey, I need to adjust this, this, and this to calm that wobble zone down. But that's all happening, behind the scenes in an unconscious way. But then that first conscious thought is, that's the right target. Okay, cool. Apply the wind hold. And then the conscious program starts. And once that conscious program starts, we go into, okay, that's the right target. My sight picture looks good. My wobble zone is acceptable for the size of target that I'm shooting at. I'm ready. Right. And so for me, when I say to myself, I'm ready, I say, there it is. Meaning there it is. That's what I'm looking for. But
Right.
as soon as I say there it is, then I'm automatically transitioning to thinking about my trigger finger. And I'm literally talking to myself. I'm telling myself trigger, 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 trigger. And I'm increasing rearward pressure until the rifle fires. And then we go into the recovery process. And it's that moment that if I lose sight of, now I'm to the point where if I lose awareness of where a bullet goes, it's all because in that final moment of trigger control, my cognitive mind or my conscious thought wandered to something else.
Yep.
Right. So I saw something happen, or my concentration, my concentration broke.
Can I insert something here and go back
Please.
to, like, right there? What you're describing is self-awareness.
Mm-hmm.
And what would distract an amateur or a pro can be the same thing. It's a fear of something. Wait a minute, the wind just came up. Wait a minute, if this bullet goes through them, somebody in the background just appeared, and there's no room for collateral damage here. If this is like a real gunfight. There's 15 people here. Oh, this guy who's my childhood hero just walked onto the range, and I've always wanted his autograph, and I just noticed him looking at me. Like, I've done stuff where, I was in awe of, the name Gavin DeBecker?
I absolutely do.
Okay. So I did some work for Gavin's company, but I got invited to one of their programs. I hadn't met him yet. I met a bunch of his executive team, and I'm doing a gig for their bodyguard group and other stuff. And then I had built up from reading his books and working with his company, like I was in awe of the guy. And they sit me at a table right beside him. And when he came in, I was like, hello, sir. Like Mr. Fear Management. I couldn't, I was like, excuse me, I got something in my throat here. Like, I was like this 7-year-old kid going, ah. And it was so funny. I mean, I was self-deprecated, and we had a good laugh about it. But something can happen at whatever pinnacle or level of expertise you develop, but it's only so I allowed a fearful thought to construct a movie in my mind, no matter how fast that is. And one of our metaphors is like it's a fear factory, your mind, and you're the director, you're the screenwriter, and you've cast yourself as the victim in this next scene in your movie. You're going to miss the shot. What do you mean you're going to miss the shot? This guy's going to tell me no. There's and we create this rejection or feel. I use the acronym false expectations appearing real. False expectations appearing real, meaning I'm visualizing something that hasn't happened. That's in a negative way impacting how I'm thinking in the present or what I'm
Mm-hmm.
doing in the present. And only self-awareness, Kalen, allows us to catch that. And if there's, the ability to control the gap time between stimulus response, that's where we need to clear the fear. That's
Right.
where you're going trigger, trigger, trigger. I forgot to get eggs this morning at the market. Oh, shut up. Start again.
Yep.
Trigger, trigger, and reset yourself, and not just jump in and rush.
Yeah, man. That's and the thing the there's a lot. Obviously, shooting is like 90% visual processing, right?
Right.
Identifying the sight picture and then saying, hey, the time is now to press the trigger because the sight picture is at its best. But all of that is visual. You have to be able to process all that information visually. And then for us as precision shooters, we also have the aspect of after the shot, because now I actually have to process what I just saw. And
Right.
the recovery time from the brain and body receiving that impact and blast, it's like a momentary glitch, right? And what you're training to do is increase the speed of the recovery from the glitch,
Yeah.
decrease that glitch time.
Interestingly enough, I talk a lot and have for decades of recovery time as well in self defense, and I'm glad to hear that you're doing that because I mean it's everything. Like even if everything was 100%, like you want to be as efficient in whatever you're doing next in life anyhow.
Mm-hmm.
So and if things didn't go well, like the efficiency of that recovery time, the clarity there is influencing your next immediate action.
Yeah, exactly. So now I have to go, I saw the bullet land on the right. I hit the plate, right? Like let's just say I hit the plate, but I saw the bullet hit on the right side of the plate and I saw the plate rock to the right. In those, I mean, so for a 400-yard shot, well, 300-yard shot, the bullet's going to take about 3/10 of a second to get there. So that means from the time I saw the sight picture that I wanted and made the commitment to press the trigger, from the time that explosion happened to me being able to see the bullet, I've recovered from that explosion in 3/10 of a second or less in time to watch the bullet hit the target. Because then I have to look at that and go, all right, I need to move that bullet to the center of the plate, because if I don't, I might miss the next shot, because a hit's a hit, it's a point, but I might get taken off. You're flirting with disaster at that point in
Right.
time. So that really small amount of time, we're trying to get a lot of work done in terms of what to do for that next action that you just spoke of, right?
Right.
And then to be able to compartmentalize and not worry about what things are happening 2 steps ahead, because it's when you start worrying about what's going to happen 2 steps ahead that takes you out of that present moment of staying in that process and staying with it. Stick with it. Don't jump ahead, because if you jump ahead, you're going to lose awareness of what you're doing in that moment, and that's when things are going to come unglued. So this stuff to me is really fascinating, man. And the fact it is all fear. It's absolutely all fear, because it's whether or not you don't want to mess up. And one of the things that I see the most with beginning new shooters or unconscious shooters is that self-deprecation that you spoke of. When somebody makes a mistake, their first automatic response is to say some sort of expletive like fuck or damn it.
Right.
And I've always wondered, like, the reason for that is you're removing, like, say if you and I were shooting together, right? And I make a mistake and, Tony's like, hey, look at this, long range dude here. He knows what he's doing, but I miss. And I say, fuck. That's me releasing your ability to criticize me, because I just criticized myself first.
Interesting.
And that's fear. That's fear of
Yeah.
judgment.
So we come back to again, and I'm repeating this for everyone listening: changing your relationship with fear, and let's give it like other labels. When you enter the fear loop, there's doubt and hesitation,
Mm-hmm.
and then I use the term unchecked, meaning if I don't, fix it, check it at the door type thing, doubt becomes hesitation. Hesitation becomes procrastination. And if you're procrastinating, that's not the same as like your intuition waiting for, what was the term you used when you felt everything was aligned properly?
Um,
There was
I don't know. Geez, I can't remember what I used.
there was something you described where this is the optimal time to take the shot because everything is kind of
Oh, when sight pictures at its best.
yeah. So, but like there's an element of like all the mathematics and the optic nerve, but there's also an element of intuition there. My
Oh, for
breathing,
sure.
the wind, the right, and so that's I should move now. So um, you might like in the Braveheart movie, hold now, but that's not procrastination. That's waiting
For the
for
optimal time.
all of this to happen, right? And
Yep.
so it's it's an interesting thing. So like with our program, we go listen, studying the psychology of fear improves your self awareness because what you want to know is like if I miss my shot and I go, oh fuck, I'm such an idiot, fuck, and I do things because I joke around. Like if I'm at the range and I shoot with people who are way better shooters than me because of like who I hang out with sometimes. So I'll be at the range and I miss my shot and I'll go, hey, I think there's something wrong with my sights, and they go, yeah, really? And they'll grab my gun, bing. I go, oh, yeah, okay, okay, Angelina Jolie, let me take that shot, like right. And I'm making fun of myself, right? But I know if they said, why did you miss that shot? I would say very quickly, one, I'm not very good. I'm an empty hand guy. I shoot whenever I can, but that literally might be 3-4 times a year,
Hmm.
right? Where you shoot every week. So one is I don't shoot enough, meaning I don't have the neural patterns at the level I wish they were at.
Hmm.
Two, psychological fear. I want you to go, Tony's a badass and he can shoot.
Right.
I don't want to miss that shot because I want you to go, you're a good shot too, and you can kick my ass. Right. And because I can talk about that in real time where most people, that's the self-awareness piece, which means I can work to correct that. And that's that whole idea of if you're in a competition, and this is something I used the term teacher coach earlier. Teacher imparts information, a coach inspires performance. I can remember my main ski coach. I was like one of the top skiers in Canada. We had different like zones for each province, and I was living in Quebec at the time and competing. And my ski coach, when I put the program together, the No Fear program, I was thinking back to like, why didn't I ever get really like go to the next level in skiing? Why did I just let it drop off? Well, I hated the competition, so I was always like in like it was a negative experience for me. I was afraid to let down the team, afraid to let down my parents, afraid to lose. I got to the point where because I was skiing so hard and fast, when I would wipe out, like one time I wiped out, I was unconscious. Like the fall was so dramatic. Cracked my helmet, woke up getting like in a toboggan on my way to the hospital. So it got to be like I don't want to die. Like it was, I don't
Sure.
want to break my legs. I don't want to, and I already deep into martial arts. I don't want to ruin that career. Meaning, but like if I were putting my boots on or my skis on, I'd be man, gorgeous day. The conditions look great, but inside my heart's going fuck,
Hmm.
right? But my
Hmm.
coach, Kalen, would go, how do you feel, kid? And I go, great. And he'd go, hey, remember the course is getting icy, gate 52, high and outside, bad rut there. People are wiping out. He always gave me technician cues. So even though he was my ski coach, years later I wrote an article on this. I go, he wasn't my coach. He was my ski trainer. He taught me how to sharpen my skis, how to wax my skis for different conditions, how to cut, how to turn, how to pull, how to do this. So if you've got, let's say you're coaching a bunch of shooters and they're not getting to the next level and you're hypothetically in this example saying things like Focus on your breathing. Loosen your grip, tighten your grip. Imagine this, and they're not changing. What you are is just a trainer. You're not stopping them and going, what are you thinking about? Because you've got all of these skill sets down, but when it comes time to compete, your head is somewhere else.
That is so true. That is absolutely true, man. Because, well, what we've always talked about is the difference between an instructor and a teacher, right? An
Right.
instructor is a regurgitator. And so what you're doing is you're actually taking that and saying, so what we've said is, hey, there's a difference between an instructor and a teacher. A teacher is imparting information based upon lived experiences, whereas as an instructor is just regurgitating information from a publication or a book or what have you. Maybe it'd be a PowerPoint slide, but you're taking it a step further, and in saying that a coach is inspiring performance, and I love that, because that is super super important. And one of the things that I do pride myself on is stopping people and saying, hey man, where are you at right now? We are struggling right here. Talk to me about what's going on.
Yep.
Talk to me about what's going on. Talk to me about what your experience is. So that way we can sort through it and get you to the next level to get past whatever block this is that you're having. And now that we've had this conversation, in terms of fear and fear management, dude, that's literally all it is. And I know I don't want to make it sound like it's simple because it's your life's work, but I think you're probably looking at it, you're like, yeah, it actually is simple. But
It's a light switch for some people.
Sure.
I had a guy interviewed me on a podcast, got a podcast called The Secure Dad, a really interesting podcast, and he I hope he doesn't mind me saying this on air, but he messaged me after. So we got a 97-minute digital program called the No Fear program. So that's for people who geographically they can't get to me, or they can't afford the live training, or to bring me into their company, or what have you. And so we put this out, and I get this message from him like a week later. He goes, I listened to this 5 times. I got pages of notes. And he says, I've never told anyone this before. I'm paraphrasing this now. I've never told anyone this before, but a few years ago, I started getting mild anxiety. And usually what happens is, probably if I asked him detail, that 5 years ago was maybe when he got married, had his first kid, and got a house. And now as a provider protector, you're like, shit, like I got responsibilities now, And so, but he goes, he says, so I've had this mild anxiety that I've never really talked about, but I've gone through your program, done it a bunch of times, made these notes. And he says, is it possible it's gone? And I answered him. I said, and please, nobody get offended by this, but I said jokingly, because I'm a smart ass, I said, look, man, if I was your therapist, of course it's not gone. I need to see you for the next 10 years because I got to pay off my country home and I want to get another car.
Right.
And I say that tongue in cheek because I've got one of the guys on my team is a professional psychologist, therapist. They do wonderful work. But I was making a joke, so I don't mean to insult anybody there. Some of them do wonderful work. And I said, why can't it be like a light switch? Why can't you hear something and go, oh my God, that's what I'm doing? And have it be, fuck. And here's the other big thing is, like, there are things in life, Kaylin, that we need to do afraid, but no one's ever told us that. So we grow up, remember the No Fear company? Right?
Yep.
So No Fear was an adrenaline brand, I had every one of their shirts as a young man. And I would joke, because I do a lot of speaking, and public speaking is number one fear in the world still, right? And I'd be up there and I go, hey, this shirt is defective. I'm still afraid. And I'd wear these No Fear shirts on to talk about fear. And then one day it occurred to me, if I put a K and a W at the end of it, that changes everything. Because when I change my relationship with fear, I can change my mind in real time. And if I've got part of my operating system says, look, in scary situations, you're supposed to be afraid. That's why it's scary. In fact, we've got a slogan that goes like this: you can't be brave unless you're afraid. The
True.
primary ingredient of fear, the primary ingredient of courage is fear. If this was a glass of courage, the only thing in here would be fear. If you did something that required no courage for you to do it, but I was scary as shit for me, and I looked at you and said, "Man, you're so courageous," you'd go, "What are you talking about? I just did this." In other words, for me to do it, because I'm afraid, I need to turn fear into fuel so that it can be the catalyst to manifesting bravery or courage.
Mm-hmm.
And that happens in your mind, nowhere else, right? If not me, then who? Someone's got to do something, right? So
Yeah.
it's huge, man. It's life changing. It's the most important work I've done in the decades of all the work. You know, we've got over 80 courses, capture avoidance courses, counter kidnapping, multiple assailant, gun, all these cool courses we put together for military, law enforcement, general public, executive protection. If you ask me, what's your most important course? I go, no fear. Really? People are surprised by that. Because guys, like you said in the beginning of this thing here, it's something that, you know, we don't want to talk about. We don't want to admit it. I don't want to appear too vulnerable. Um, uh, um, and I just know that managing fear improves self-awareness. Self-awareness improves critical thinking. What could be more powerful than having a fear spike about something you don't know a lot about? And instead of going, I'm going to rationalize and say that's not important and ignore it, I'm going to use the fear spike like I'm now in the Air Force and I got a blip on my fucking radar and I got to decide if it's a flock of geese or a missile, and I got to blend all my training and technique with my intuition.
Mm-hmm.
What am I going to say next? And now I've also got to remember, I just went, holy shit, and I'm holding my breath. And I got to remember, holding my breath is never good. So I got to have that self-awareness to manage my physiology, also to access all the training I've had.
Right.
It's all interconnected, but you peel the onion with everything, man. And at the core of it, you said it a couple of times already, it all comes down to fear. We just need to, you want to be a better shooter, learn to manage fear. You want to be a better husband, learn to manage fear. You want to be a better wife, learn to manage fear. You want to be a better entrepreneur, learn to manage fear, right? It just, I don't know. And to your point, it sounds so simple, and it is. And we don't complicate it. It's not a good business model. But when I go train people, I go, that's it. There you go. You got the program. And they go, wait a minute. That's it. Like, yeah, now you just got to work it.
Now you have to embody
Yeah.
it.
Like shooting isn't complicated.
Not really.
It's these 12 things or these 8 things or these whatever the steps are. And it's crawl, walk, run, and do them enough. I don't know how you feel about this, but I tell people there's no such thing as muscle memory in the way you want to believe. Muscle
Exactly.
memory doesn't exist. It's
Nope.
self-awareness, situational awareness, and neural patterns, motor engrams, training your brain, improving the signal speed by myelinating the right neurons to do the right things at the right time.
It's exactly what we teach. That's it.
Beautiful.
Because there's no, I mean, that's it. Like, I mean, man, it's interesting because we never, I mean, I was never at the upper echelon of military operations, right? Like, we're not talking about joint special operations command guys or even, SOCOM guys, stuff like that. I was in the infantry. And so we never really learned, I mean, the depth of psychology that I got was on my own accord by reading Colonel Grossman's book when it
Yep.
first came out on killing. And that was, even then, that was pretty deep. And I was probably I was in my early 20s when I read that book.
Yep.
And by the time I actually went to combat, I was in my mid 20s. And so I had a little bit of life experience going on, and a little bit of knowledge that I was armed with from that book. But man, outside of that, we didn't get anything. We got
Yep.
nothing. And
And most people still don't, dude. They still don't. And a lot of this stuff, and I've worked with a lot of the people elements within the groups that you mentioned there. and they all have they all have different names. Human performance factors group. And they bring and
Mm-hmm.
there's um, I did something for one tier one element where they literally had like guys in lab coats sitting in on my presentation.
Mm-hmm.
They were the doctors of peak performance, so to speak. And the stuff is and it's fascinating stuff, but it's so, like I said earlier before, they're going like, here's the brain, and there's this part, like there was a Stanford study a couple of years ago that came out that they think they found a part of the brain responsible for courage. And it's this little area near the amygdala that does this, and they've discovered it in rats and all that. And all of a sudden, my inbox is being flooded. Check this out, because you always talk about fear and courage. And they asked me what I thought. I said, I don't care. And they were like, what do you mean? I go, if it's not a button that I can access like this, right, or through my nose or through my ear, oh my God, it's a fucking saber-toothed tiger. It's about to maul me. Where's that courage button? If it's not a button that I can immediately go eject or pull, right, then it doesn't matter that you discovered it. I still need to regulate myself through my emotional psychological system. I still need to go, holy shit, I'm scared. You need to be brave right now.
Mm-hmm.
Go fight.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I always tell people like we have a model in our system called the choose safety model. And I always remind people, don't confuse choosing safety with playing it safe. Playing it safe is not the course of action. And I try to be provocative so people remember something, and then they're sitting in bed at night looking at the ceiling going, what the fuck did he mean by that? And I go, sometimes the safest thing that you can do is fight to the death. Go chew on that, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's like, fuck. Am I going to save my business? Am I going to save my marriage? Am I going to save my kids? Am I going to charge the threat? Am I going to run away? And we can say run away, which would have a negative connotation, but we could also say barricade or disengage, which sounds tactical, right? Mm-hmm. So you want to, we call it the 3 I's, Galen: instincts, intuition, and intelligence.
Okay.
That's like an intellectual trinity. We need to blend our hardwired system understands. We need to incorporate our intuition. Intuition I define as something we know to be true. We just don't have the evidence yet. How many times in life have you been, whether it's screwed in business, screwed in a relationship, or had like a tactical event go sideways, and everyone after the event went, you know what, I fucking felt like something was off. I knew that was going to happen.
Every time.
Right? Every time. Exactly. And so that means our intuition was trying to whisper in our ear, and either the momentum, and a lot of times it's just stubbornness, ego, pride. Yep. So whenever, if you're in a free fall and you go in your free fall and you go, fuck, did I pack my parachute? Like at that point there, you can't do anything, right? You kind of oh shit, like I fucked up. So if momentum of the event isn't the factor, then anytime you say after the event, I knew that was going to happen, and it happened, it's because ego, pride, or stubbornness or fear allowed their influence to affect the decision before. Otherwise, it would never happen. Right. So part of this is that's the self-awareness piece, buddy.
Yeah.
It's that when I get a bad feeling, I need to check it out. That's what we mean by choose safety. What's the safest thing I can do right now? The safest thing I can do is now I'm about to hire somebody. I like them, but something was off. And I go, you know what? I'm fucking in a rush. I don't have time to train somebody new. Go. And then 2 years later, you find out they were stealing from the company, or they were a dirtbag, or they weren't answering emails and they said they were, whatever the hell it was. But what had happened was you rushed because of fear, as opposed to the safest thing to do is to check them out, test them, onboard them. That's a silly example, but just one that's
related. It's not a silly example. It's a very real example. Yeah. I mean, that's just straight up life.
Yep.
Man, Tony, this has been a great discussion. first and foremost, thank you for taking the time to talk with me today. And
Thank you.
I think that our audience is going to get a tremendous amount of value from this and introduce them to your programs, what it is that you do. And where do you live right now?
Don't guys, don't judge me. I live in California,
Yeah.
near San
Uh,
Diego. So
yeah,
I'm
that's
not
cool.
in a crazy area. I'm just in a crazy state.
No, it's fine, man. I mean, I live in Washington State and it's getting pretty
Right.
damn crazy here too.
Right.
So, um, I want to come to a couple of your classes for sure. I definitely want to come to your classes. I've downloaded your ebook. I've read through your ebook. I didn't make it all the way through that 97-minute presentation, but we're going to include all of these links in our description for this podcast.
Beautiful.
And I'm super excited to bring this to our community because uh, everybody within our community at Modern Day Riflemen, these people are all about elevating their performance and helping others elevate their performance. It's a really cool community. It's so bizarre that like we don't have any trolls, we don't have any any rabble rousers or anything like that. Everybody there is super committed to progress, and
Nice.
everybody there is super committed to self awareness and personal development as well. Because when you shoot a rifle, it that and anything like handgun carbine, I don't really get it in the handgun carbine world. It seems like the precision rifle guys are far more into understanding the why behind the how in terms of how they operate and saying, why did that happen that way? Why did I miss? Right. Um, and there's obviously some people that are still in that realm of, I'm going to blame the gear. I'm going to blame this. I'm going to blame everything outside of me. But the dudes who are in the know are going to look at this information and they're going to say, man, that's the ticket. And that's exactly it. And I love it because, um, it just helps everybody elevate themselves and bring themselves to a higher level of performance. And so I'm super happy that we had this discussion. So tell everybody where they can find you at, Tony, your social media, and what's the best way to stay in touch with you and to keep in touch with you.
Yeah. So thank you. I appreciate that. And I'm excited to learn more about your community and stuff. When you said no trolls and haters and weirdos, like holy shit, like I dread my online interactions for most social media. I mean, obviously, there's a lot of people who are professional out there, but you always have one,
Yep.
one or more weirdo. Um, I'm heavily shadow banned on Instagram, but I spend a lot of time there. I'm on LinkedIn. What's my name? At Tony Blauer. Uh, my main website is Blauer Training Systems. And if you go to that, you'll see all the verticals in our company. We've got a force on force scenario line called High Gear. We've got all of our hand to hand, empty hand training called Spear System. Then there's a whole no fear block. And then there's a Coach Blauer stuff because I do a lot of speaking and coaching and mentoring. Um, and that'd be the best place, to get a hold of me. I can't think of anything else. I mean, just if you do a search, I'll pop up. But yeah, happy to engage, happy to help out, and it doesn't surprise me that the riflemen are at a different self awareness level because the margin for error at those distances, you need to respect the technology. You need to respect the elements like wind and distance and gravity, and you need to respect um, that what I the three I's: instincts, intuition, intelligence, because the precision at that level is so like there is no margin for error,
No.
right? And if you're imagining that even though it's a competition in a plate, there's a in the back of your head, it is also, if I needed to protect myself, my family, could I take this shot? You know,
Mhm.
and if it's one day I need to hunt to feed my family, to protect my family, I can't miss this shot. If I need
Mhm.
to stop the bad guy, I can't miss this shot. And it can be, well, big deal. I missed a plate at 300 yards, but if you're in the zone, then it's like, fuck, I missed the plate. And that, if you're saying fuck, you're rejecting yourself.
Exactly.
which means it's going to take you longer to reset.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a great golf quote. I don't play golf, but I read it somewhere by Tom Watson. He said, "In golf, it's not how well you play your best shot; it's how well you play your worst shot."
Right. Right.
And so, and what that means metaphysically is, can you let it go and just remember you're a really good golfer? Can you let
You
that
know,
last shot go and just remember you're a really good shooter?
it's a funny thing. I had a buddy of mine who is he's a professional skydiver, and he's a canopy pilot. And canopy piloting is all exactly what it is. It's flying your canopy really, really small canopy, super, super fast, really close to the ground. And I mean, they're flying their canopies now. They're touching 100 miles an hour, and they're flying that thing straight to the ground. And he was talking about he's fourth in the world in terms of his particular skill set. And we were talking about, hey, like what happens when you have a shit run, if you didn't do well. And he goes, for me personally, you can't just completely reject your anger. You have to allow yourself to process that anger and work through it. And he said that, from the time I gather my canopy, scoop it up, and then walk to the packing shed. And he said, I've got that time to be pissed off,
Right,
right? I'm going to accomplish everything that I need to accomplish with being pissed off at myself. But as soon as I drop my gear at the packing shed, you're done. Like that's it. You're over it. And if you don't, and you're allowing yourself to ruminate on it, then it is going to hijack you. It's going to take everything over, and like the letting go aspect of it. So I thought that was pretty good. And
yeah,
I've started to incorporate that into my routine as well. From the time, hey, if I shoot a rough stage or a bad stage, hey man, I've got until I put all of my kit away. I've got until I post fire check my rifle. I've got until I load up my mags and put my empty brass back in my bag and write my notes. Once that's over with, you're done. You're moving on to the next stage. You got to let that shit go. And so, but all of that is also your ability to let it go is managing your fear of being able to let it go, it's all awesome. It's great.
well, the deeper you get in when you finish the no fear program and start to integrate some of that stuff, like what'll happen is that letting go will happen faster. So the refractory delay between stimulus response, that's where the conversion has to happen. So right now, by saying I have until I get to the next stage, and that's going to take me 25 minutes because I got to pack up, write my notes, and then walk here, and then the range master goes whatever. So what you've done is you said I've got 25 minutes to clear my fear, to clear my head, and get back. And I forget what the law is called. I forget shit. I just forgot that there's a law of filling space. But if suddenly someone said, "Hey, you need to be at the next stage in 20 minutes," but you had been training that you've got 25 minutes, you'd now be freaking about the 5 minutes.
Correct.
What if you could just speed up stuff so that you were clearing your fear like you were clearing a malfunction? And
Right.
so what I tell people is that the we didn't talk about this, but maybe on a future podcast, it's, I say violence loves speed. And the only way you can manage the speed of violence is if you improve your mind speed. Not how fast you shoot, not how fast you draw, not how fast you punch, not how fast you block, because the mind navigates the body. The mind controls what you're doing. And if you can't control your mind, then you can't control the speed of making the right decision.
Right. Right.
So everything is about, so I love what your skydiving friend said and how you've taken it there. But that next level, like if I were in your ear, is let's work on finessing that so that you can go, fuck. Are you okay? Yeah, why? What's up? Like it's just like it's done.
Just go. Yeah.
And then I'm exaggerating the speed of that, but what starts to happen is, and this goes back to understanding there's a part of the fear management protocol we teach, and you saw the graph in that Making Friends with Fear book, that cycle of behavior, where it's like a strip map going, this is I don't want to land here. This is the kill zone. The kill zone is the fear loop, right? And when I'm in the fear loop, that's where dreams go to die. That's where inaction takes place. That's where all that stuff. And now I've got procrastination. And unchecked procrastination becomes non-clinical anxiety, right? Where you're like going, hey man, you okay? Yeah, I'm just really worried about this next. If I don't make this next shot, I'm not going to be, I can't compete on Sunday because I got to qualify here. And
Hmm.
now your false expectations are appearing real. You are the victim in the movie you created in your mind. You can
Hmm.
speed that up. Um, and it's different for each person, but you can definitely speed that process up.
Man, I definitely want to have you back on, Tony. I want to have you back on for a couple more episodes just because I know that there's just a mountain of information that we just didn't touch on. I kind of feel like we were just maybe getting to know each other a little bit here and,
Yeah, it's our first
learning about each other's
conversation.
backgrounds, but I really want to take some deep dives in and potentially bring you on board to do a couple of presentations for our community. Because I think this information is invaluable to the guys that are really focused on improving themselves and bringing higher levels of self awareness.
I'm digging
So,
it. Let's
thanks
do
for
it.
your time, man. I really, really appreciate it.
Okay, man. Be safe. Thank you for your service, and I look forward to shooting with you one day.
Absolutely, man. Thank you. What's up, guys? I wanted to take a couple minutes of your time to talk to you about the Modern Day Rifleman Network. And if you've been listening to us on the Modern Day Sniper podcast for a while, you probably have heard us talk about the Modern Day Rifleman Network. And if you don't, you've been living under a rock. So let me take a couple of minutes and tell you all about the network and what we have inside here. So first off, why did we start the Modern Day Rifleman Network and what is it? Well, we started it because we're an education company. We want to teach people the art and science of long-range precision shooting. There is a ton of places all over the internet that you can get information on this. YouTube, forums, Facebook groups, you name it, right? It's all over the place. The problem is that all of those places are mired with people that are passive aggressive, that are snarky, and general just jerks all over the internet. We don't want that. We want people to be able to come to a place where they can ask questions as simple as beginners and could be, and still be able to get good information from people that are truly willing to help and spread the news and spread the knowledge within the sport. So, no ads, all grassroots. We're over 8,000 members inside the network, and all of these people are discerning shooters looking to better themselves and better their skills with a precision rifle. So we come at this with a holistic approach from both a technical proficiency side as well as a headspace proficiency side, because that's a huge key component. So inside the Modern Day Rifleman Network, it's essentially like a Facebook feed, if you will, but not Facebook. You don't have all the jerk-offs running around on Facebook in here. So we have a main feed, and over here we also have events. So this is where we list all of our events, all of our in-person classes, all of our online events, and you can see everything that's going on right in here with the event tab. So another thing that's really cool is you have a chat feature. And inside the chat feature, we have just now thousands and thousands and thousands of searchable chat features. So the search engine inside Modern Day Rifleman is really, really robust. And it is one of those things where you can just search a keyword and boom, everything pops up within that keyword and you can search for the topic that you're looking for. Now, if we go over here on the left-hand side, another part of the Modern Day Rifleman Network is where we host all of our digital masterclasses. And our digital masterclasses are going to be found over here in the Schoolhouse Advantage, where we have new shooter essentials, circle components, fundamentals, intro to long-range shooting, positional shooting, tripod, wilderness land nav, scope carbine essentials, all of this stuff, mindfulness and mobility techniques, and this is just going to continue to get built out. So that's inside or behind a paywall. And inside the Modern Day Rifleman Advantage is our subscription service. We also host that here. Inside the subscription service, you're going to get 4 hours of content a month. Let me jump over here and talk to you guys about that. In the MDR Advantage program, you are going to get 4 hours of content a month, plus access to literally a mountain of content that we've done in years past. So you're going to have access to well over 150 hours of videos, high quality content, talking about the stuff that you want to know when it comes to precision rifle. So inside that Advantage program, you're going to get that 4 hours of content a month. 1 hour is going to be some sort of technical or headspace topic discussion. You're going to have a monthly shooting drill, a guided practice session, and then a live question and answer session at the end of every month where you get to ask whatever question it is that you want. So also inside here, back over on the free side, we have the Hornady Ballistics Hub, and this is just an example. So if we go into here to the Hornady Ballistics Hub, what we've done is we have cherry-picked all of Hornady's ballistic-specific podcast episodes and put them into our network, so that way you guys can go direct and you don't have to sift through their feed on YouTube. You can watch it right here on the network. Hornady is doing it right. They are bringing everything that they know about ballistics to you, and they're doing it for free. All of these classes in here are pretty much collegiate level classes on external ballistics. Jaden Quinlan teaches them along with a bunch of people from their engineering staff and their design staff, and it is nothing short of amazing at the content that they're putting out for you guys. So, and we're constantly adding to this, right? So there's tons of information in here. So that's it. That's a little introduction to what we got going on in the Modern Day Rifleman Network. I hope you guys come over and check it out. You will not be disappointed at all. And we're super stoked to have you guys. Looking forward to seeing you in there. Go to moderndayRifleman.com, get yourself a free profile, poke around, see what you think, introduce yourself, and you're going to be surprised that the people inside that network are truly dedicated to being assistants in your growth and development with regard to shooting a long-range precision rifle and how to kind of tap into the lessons that shooting the rifle teach you about you as a human being and yourself. So thanks, guys. Back to the show.